Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. Today we have Rick Warner, and we are super excited for you to join the show and tell us all about you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's kick this off. What is your favorite part about being a real estate agent?
Okay, so favorite part. So I'm not prompted on any of these questions. So everything's off the top of my head here. So my favorite part, I bet you a lot of agents say something like, I get somebody in their dream home or whatever. And listen, I love that. I think that's great. But my favorite part is negotiating. My favorite part is really knowing I'm going to call it the game of conversation around finding out information about whoever's on the other side of me and putting my clients in the best position to get the best deal. So whether that's on the listing side and knowing exactly how to talk to the agents on the other side, kind of getting that list price up as high as possible, or on the buy side, it's what can we get away with on getting a great deal, or what can we get away with on negotiating, maybe after inspections or things like that. Anytime I can make that huge impact on price, especially when I know my clients, like, listen, if you can get this, I'm going to be stoked. And when I blow that out of the water and get them an extra 10, 20, 50, 200 grand, I've got one right now where I'm probably going to get 100 grand more than she was already going to be super excited about. And it's crazy. We're taking offers on this house on Tuesday, which is what I always do. I always put houses on the market on a Monday. We do a broker's tour during the week. We do one or two open houses during the weekend, and then we take offers on the following Tuesday. So we do 8 days of marketing, and the idea is that we create that tension, and hopefully we have at least two people that want the house so that we can get them to possibly pay more than what the comps suggest, right? That's the really base version of what I'm trying to do. In this case, this house, look, I just messed up on the price. I thought I priced it about right. The good news is, so did the seller. Apparently, there's way more demand for this one particular house that I have than I even thought was possible. But now my job is to leverage that into as much as possible. And so it's really, I just got off the phone like maybe an hour ago with somebody calling me, because now all the agents are calling, what do your sellers want? This is the perfect position to be in, right? We're probably going to get something with zero contingencies, free rent backs, naming their children after the seller, like whatever it is, right? Because I've had so many agents say, here's the whole story and we are going to win. And I'm like, great, right? And I get to root for everybody, because the more they're excited about winning, the more that price goes up. But I just had somebody actually go 250 grand over. She said, do you think it's going to go this much? And I'm like, well, I have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Even though I would be shocked, and there is literally nothing at all that justifies that price being right. Mm-hmm. But hey, and we did all the things to put her in this position, not just price it where we priced it. That was actually a mistake, to be honest. But we made it look great. We highlighted all the things that were perfect. We hired a professional to write the copy for it. We made sure that the photographs captured the view from inside to out, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, that was a very long answer to what's my favorite part.
She's going to be stoked. I mean,
she's going to be stoked. She has no idea, because here's the other thing, right? This one's really extraordinary, but it's not uncommon at all for me to put our clients in this position where we're getting multiple offers.
That's awesome.
And what's also happened a few times is I've been the prettiest girl at the dance without a date, right? Where the excitement has gotten so much that people go, oh, we can't even compete. And then they all think they can't compete. Next thing you know, we don't have any offers at all, right? So that's the other art of it, is like, okay, how do we make sure that we're having everybody right and we're not freaking anybody out? But the people that tell me that they're going to win, then I don't mind going with them. Yeah. I'm going to let their momentum take them into something even bigger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a good balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what have you learned over the years that just makes you an exceptional agent?
Let's see. I think that what makes me exceptional, I feel like I've learned a lot, but probably, and I'm imagining you might have other agents that watch this too. And actually I'm a coach. So I coach agents
Oh,
how to,
amazing.
be great. And that is to really be super tuned in to what the motivation behind your buyer or seller is. Because what happens invariably in every transaction is something starts going sideways. They get discouraged. They find out something about the house they didn't know when they're already in contract, or if it's the seller, the buyer's asking for something that they didn't expect and they don't think it's fair,
Mhm.
and they get wrapped up in that little minutia of that little $1,500 water heater or whatever it is. And you want to be able to bring back that camera so that their views, that they're seeing the big picture, right? That let's not get too wrapped up in this heater or this water heater or whatever it is that's being asked of you right now, because what we're really trying to do is make sure that we get you to go move to, wherever you're, to Las Vegas, where your son is, and your two new grandbabies, so that
Mhm.
you can have that time with them that is so important.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to lose out on that opportunity over something over here where you're still going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And let's not get too wrapped up in right and wrong, right?
Right.
So probably that is that's been the other side of the great negotiating part, is knowing how to manage the clients and kind of take them where they want to go, right? I'm not interested in manipulating people. I don't high pressure. I'm not a salesman even, right? But I
Mhm.
do want to help people get to where they want to go, and I want to help them stay out of the way of themselves, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes, it does. You're the expert, and sometimes, with a buyer or a seller, it's like your agent's got to give you the best advice. They do this day in and day out. So yes,
Right.
I, as a home buyer, have been in that situation before where I had my agent like have to level set me. Like, I
Yep.
do this, just trust me, I got it. So
Yeah, that's right. And so what that, and part of the way that can happen is if you're establishing trust all along the way within the relationship, by the time you get to that part where you have to tell somebody something they don't want to hear, or you have to bring them back
mhm,
to, hey, what are we really doing here? That
yeah,
they're going to be like, okay, Rick, yeah, I got you. But if,
yeah,
if I've talked to them the whole way and I haven't established trust and I've made the whole thing about me, guess what? They're all I am is just part of the enemy, right? So
totally. That's awesome. And then what area of California do you specialize in?
So I'm in Northern California. I'm about my town that I am in, where I do probably 60-70% of my business, is in a town called Petaluma. It's about 35 miles north of the Golden Gate, 35 minutes north of the Golden Gate Bridge. So I can, from this desk where I'm sitting right now, I can be in my car at the Golden Gate Bridge in 35 minutes, which is very cool. And I serve, about halfway down to the Golden Gate Bridge from here effectively, and then another, maybe 15 or 20 minutes above. I'm not one of these like, I'll serve the whole Bay Area guys. I don't think that's a real good service to the clients. And so we try and stay tight to where we really know. And I favor the South because I grew up in, where I'm the southern part of where I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, I've been there since I was 15 years old. I went to high school there. I got friends there. I've lived in almost every town south of here. So between, that and where I'm at now, that's where I'm most effective. So central Marin County north, and then Petaluma and a little bit north of Petaluma.
Nice. Okay, perfect. And then what can a potential, I mean, you kind of touched on this, but what can a potential buyer or seller expect from you?
Well, okay. So another part of what you would get. So I have a little team. I have myself, a partner. And then we have support staff behind that. So that includes our media people. That includes our transaction coordinator, which is making sure all the paperwork gets organized. As great as I am on the negotiating side and the relationship side, is exactly how horrible I am at the paperwork. So I'm all about, leveraging that and hiring the best people for that. We
Yeah.
also have a virtual assistant that helps us with a bunch of stuff. So what all of that means is that when you come into the Rick Warner real estate universe, you are part of a whole systems and processes where we sell, anywhere between 20 and 30 houses a year. So
Mhm.
we're doing this all the time. Not so much that you're not going to get personalized attention, but definitely enough where it's like we're not going to really see anything new. And even if something comes that's slightly in nuance, we've probably got experience around it. But also, we're going to be taking you down this track where, every step of the way, you're going to get constant communication with us. In fact, all of our clients every Monday hear from us regardless, in addition to all the other times that we want to connect with them. But what you're not going to get, what happens with a lot of agents, especially on the listing side, is you list the house, it doesn't sell right away, and then all of a sudden the agent's gone, right?
Mhm.
Because dang it, they didn't sell your house and they don't know what to do. And we, on the other hand, call you every Monday. We tell you exactly what's going on in the market. We tell you how many showings you've had. We tell you what else has sold, and we take you into that, like, okay, we got to really look at this is where we're at. So if ultimately a month down the road we need to change the price, you've heard from us, you know why we're changing the price, and you will be the one probably saying, hey, it seems like we missed it on the price and we should be lowering the price. Doesn't happen that often, but when it does happen, it's all built in the process.
Nice. That's a good system. It's similar. Like my calls are on Tuesdays as a lender, like where we're at in the escrow process. Yeah, it's
so important. So important as a lender too. It's like you've got to be in there communicating with your clients, even if you don't think you have something to say. They need to hear from you.
Yep, and they might have questions too, and it's just a great time to like have that organic conversation. I completely agree with that. So I know that you have experience in this market. So what is your take on where the market is right now, and where do you see it going this year?
Okay, this is so funny. So I get the, because that's the other question is now the right time to buy, right? That's the question I get all the time.
Yep.
So here's what I would say, and I say this all the time, because the first thing I'm going to say is I have no idea. I have no idea where the market's going to go. I don't know what interest rates are going to do. I don't know what is going to move buyers and sellers. And if you want to know what your house is going to be worth a year from now, you'll have to get a time machine and go into the year from now to find out, because there isn't anybody that knows. And it doesn't mean I'm not in the, that I'm not paying attention. In fact, I've got really great stories to tell you about why things are going to go up or why things are going to go down. And one of them is going to be right. Or maybe neither of them be right, because maybe things will stay the same, because we really don't know. In reality, I've been wrong as many times as I've been right when I've tried to predict what was going to happen. And that by definition means I don't know. And if I came across anybody who knew, I would follow them, but they wouldn't even talk to me, because if they actually knew, they'd be making billions of dollars because they knew where things were going to go. So let's establish that nobody really knows where things are going to go. Okay. Yeah. So then the next thing is we go, well, then how would you know whether the house is now the right time to buy or sell? Especially on the buy side, my answer is always this: if you love the house and you can afford the house, you should buy the house. And it's always going to go up and down. In 2006, bought $1 million house. I was 4 years in the business. It was exactly the wrong time to buy a house. Within a couple of years, it was like down 35%. I had lost almost my entire down payment. It was completely ridiculous. And but I could afford the house barely. By the way, September 2009, my 40th birthday. I couldn't make my mortgage like a lot of people during that time, but I worked harder. I got some stuff. I really, and I had one late, and I was able to keep the house. And then in 2016, 17, sold it for just under 1.4 million, and it worked out, right?
Wow.
So, buy the house you can afford. It's real possible now that it's what do we say? What are we saying? Marry the house, date the mortgage, right? You know that. So buy the house, set that price. That price never going to go any higher than if you can afford it. Yeah. And the worst case scenarios, it just basically stays the same. Best case scenario is rates go down, which they may or may not. I know the whole world saying rates are going to go down. Well, they might, right? I'm sticking with they might, because do not buy the house thinking for sure they're going to go down. I think it's a pretty good bet, but you have to be able to afford that house. And if they do, then you refinance, you get a lower rate. All of a sudden, your house is giving you a raise. Hey, that's awesome.
Yes. And what are you seeing? So I feel like where the market is today is a little bit different than what we were seeing at the tail end of 2023. So just from your story earlier, like I can tell competition is starting to pick up. So is that what you're seeing right now? We're seeing people start to come back into the market. They're ready to buy again.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because as rates tick down towards the end of 2023, all of a sudden the buyers that I hadn't talked to for a year, or they hadn't talked to me, I guess is a better way to say it. All of a sudden they're kind of like, hey, we're in the mid-high sixes. Let's, maybe we can do something. And I feel like they're still around, even though we've kind of creeped. Are we back up into this little sevens a little bit?
Slightly.
Yeah. So seven-ish. So, but it's just so fascinating how sensitive it is.
Oh, yeah.
That, what's moving the buyers. But, the thing, this is, again, if you'd asked me as a professional, Hey,
Mhm.
if interest rates go to, 7 or 8, shit, they went to 8. Probably not allowed to swear on here, but they went that high. Is ridiculous. Like I would have thought, okay, prices are going to plummet, and because you have to correlate the affordability, right? The monthly
Right.
affordability of that house, prices have to come down. But what happened was that delta was so significant that here I am sitting here in my house. It's a 3% mortgage. I just saw one in the neighborhood that's a little bit better, a little bit closer to the park. I'm like, I would buy that house. It's not even that much more money. But guess what? I'm not doing it because I'm not going to trade
Yeah,
3% mortgage
3%
for
for
7.
7.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a widespread formula, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's doing the same thing. So that kept inventory down. And so inventory's still down. So like you're here in Petaluma, we've
Mhm.
got 55 active listings today, right? We sell about, in a normal market, we sell about 65 listings a month
Mhm.
total. So we're
Mhm.
still less than 1 month of inventory, which
Wow.
keeps those prices up because it's still going to be supply and demand. Though it's just fascinating to me that that's exactly what happened, which again would have meant that I predicted incorrectly what was going to happen when interest
Mhm.
rates went up to 6, 7, 8%. So it's inventory still low, the buyers are still there. Plus, now we're what, almost 2 years, where we a year and 9 months into higher interest rates, right? So
Yeah.
the buyers that are here now, they're not shell shocked anymore, right? They weren't the buy. I mean, it was really tough when it was like, wait a minute, 2 months ago I was at 3%. Now I'm at 5. Oh
Mhm.
shit, it went to 7. Oh my god, it went to 8. I mean, the affordability went crazy. But the people that are here now, they've already been. They're used to this payment idea. They've already gotten pre-qualified at that 7.5% rate. So
Mhm.
even at 7, they're like, I don't like it, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and it's real estate is always gonna go up and down, but it is one of the best investments. If, like you said, if you can afford it, it's one of the best things because you never know 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now what, your house could be worth or what kind of equity you build. And
Yeah,
that's,
and on top of that, the other thing I'm telling people, unless they're actual straight up investors, I'm like, listen, buy the house to live and enjoy first,
mhm,
right?
yes.
Buy the house that you love first. Obviously, do it with investment in mind. Buy the
Mhm.
location, buy the layout, all the things. But don't buy it purely on whether it's going to make money or go up in value in a year or 2 years, because half the time you're going to lose.
Yeah. No,
Well,
I
probably not
completely
half,
agree.
but a lot.
Yes. Yes. Well, awesome. Is there anything else that you want to let your clients know, or any real estate agents that are listening? Because I know you're a coach. Like, what is some of your final thoughts?
Well, I just, if there are any agents listening, I would say, listen, I know that the last few years, especially people that have gotten into business maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, they've really been kicking butt. And then all of a sudden they found out they're not as great as they thought they were. It's because the market was helping you with your success. Now you
Mhm.
got to do what I had to do in 2009 and 10, which was like, because I was coming off of 2004, 5, 6, where I thought I was great too. That's when I bought the $1 million house. I was making a bunch of money. Well, the market was taking me there. So this is a relationship business.
Yeah.
My whole business is based on eyeball to eyeball contact, staying in front of my clients. So if my clients are listening, they know that because they get regular mail from me, not just like, hey, I sold this, which I send them also, but I also send them invitations to 4 events a year. And I send them a letter it's called Below the Waterline letter, where they get some personal story about me. The most recent one they just got this last week was about me reconnecting with my dad, who's about to turn 80. And it was this really lovely, touching story from my heart that I got so many text messages and phone calls like, dude, that was so great. And
Aw.
because people do business with people who they know, like, and trust. So
Yeah.
create that. Be in the business, know what you're talking about, but also, be with people. Come from curiosity. Create and maintain those relationships. And if you want to know how to do that, if you're like, I don't know how to do that, then give me a call or go to my website, flowacademy.com, and we have coaching programs for that. So
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's great advice. And lastly, we just have to let everyone know, any potential clients, how do we get in touch with you?
So I'm on Instagram, the Rick Warner. But my phone number is the best way. Just send me a text, or you can do the old fashioned thing and actually call me. Phone number is 415-302-6348.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast, the Golden State Realtor Spotlight. And we're happy to have you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This is great.
No problem.